Right. There we go. So the purpose of the Icon Mentorship Program was to start from the very, very basic, the very first thing which you're going to do. And, obviously, if you decide to build a business, first thing that's going to happen is you're going to start trying to pique people's interest, right? You don't have a team yet. Okay. So the first thing is prospecting. So that was our very first call. And we've at each session have been stacking up your skills, right? So after prospecting and you've learned how to pique someone's interest, the next session was on, now creating yourself a list. So who are you actually going to start to pique, who you're going to invite, and how to invite. Okay. Then obviously, David did personal development, something that throughout this journey, okay, it's not going to be easy. So you have to be developing yourself along the way. Okay. We then did edifying the three-way call. So you've invited people to a presentation, or you invited someone to an event, or you've invited someone to watch a recording. Now you need to follow up, right? You need to follow up, get your mentor on a call. We went through how to do that. And then Des on Friday did following up, how to continue, right? Creative ways to continue, following up with people, but also then how to close them and he did some objection handling, but we are going to do maybe a whole session on that specifically to do with economy, right? Because there are a lot of things you're going to be met with people, because I think inherently, people can be quite skeptical. So we might do a session on that. So just so you guys know what's coming, okay, this isn't even the whole thing, but obviously now we're going to cover, now that you're bringing customers in, okay, so you've been working on these skills. Okay, I know some of you have already started building a team. Okay. But what I'm going to go through today is how to now retain that team. So, how to set a good culture, how to make sure that you are doing the right things for your customers to ensure that they are successful. Because again, like I said, if you sign someone up, right, that's not like your hard work is done. That's where your work starts, right? From the second you sign someone up, now it's time to get to work. It wasn't closing them, right? That's going to be the easy part. Closing, signing up people, that's the easy part. Now you need to make sure that they're successful. So let's dive straight in. Okay, let me present here. Drop a 2 if you guys can see my screen, please, and thank you. I'm just assuming you guys can see it. I think we should be good though. I'm pretty sure I'm sharing the right one. Amazing. Perfect. Okay. Cool. So how to build a team and keep it. And I'm going to talk a lot about systems as well, right? The importance of having a system, because in network marketing, it's not about what you can do, it's about what duplicates, right? So you need a system or be a part of a system, right? You guys are lucky because we kind of already have a system developed that you just need to kind of plug people into. Okay. I'm not going to go through, my story. Okay. Because most of you know me by now. Hopefully, my name is Shannon. I'm an Icon 9 in economy. Okay. If it's your first time meeting me, welcome. but yeah, the very first thing, okay, the very first thing to building a successful team is having a vision. Okay. A vision, not just for your team, but a vision that in lines, sorry, with the company vision. Okay, so on the right hand side, I put what is the vision of economy, because Hassan has a very, very big vision. Now, I would say, most important, his number one goal with this company is to impact 1 million families by December 31st, 2025. So that is the long term vision, okay, to impact 1 million families. Now, part of how we're going to get there, because of course, when we set goals, we want to set big goals, but then break them down into steps, is to create 100 icons by the end of this year. Okay, I think as of now, we have about 77, 78. I think that was the last count. Okay, and we got 2 months left of the year, right? So we're getting close to hitting that company goal. Now, once you know what the company goal is, you now need to think, okay, well, how much is my team going to contribute to that company goal? So the mastermind vision, the whole of mastermind, is to have 25 icons by the end of this year. Okay, so of the 100 in the company, we want 25 of those icons to come from mastermind. Currently, there's about 13 of us. Okay, so we still got some work to do if we're going to hit that goal by the end of the year. Okay, but it's definitely achievable. But then our team, okay, Our team vision, now myself and David might have slightly different goals on this, okay? But again, it all boils down to the same thing. Okay, coming from our organization, we want 10 of those icons of Masterminds 25 to be within our organization. So currently, you've got David, you've got Jason, you've got myself, and you've got Des at the top. So we still need 6 more icons to come out of this organization. Now, when you're starting to build, this is something really, really important, okay, for you to not only buy into, but to believe that that can be you, right? Belief, and I'm not going to go too much into a belief because that's a whole other training, and David did a phenomenal job when he introduced us to personal development. But you need to kind of buy into the fact that one of those icons, that's going to be you. You're going to be the icon within your organization. You're going to help grow that team, because the only way we're ever going to get there, right, as a collective, is if we have a bunch of, high believing, motivated individuals who are willing to do the work to get there. Okay, so that's number one. Now, you might just be an apprentice. Okay, you might be a 500, you might be a 1500, whatever your rank is. I still want you to boil that down to your team. What is your team going to contribute to the overall vision? Okay, and break your organization down into goals. Who in your team wants to go Prodigy 3K in the next 3 months? How are you going to help them? Okay, so those are the kind of things, when we boil down the company vision to your team, think about what your team can do. Okay, now let's get into it. Okay, that's just like the warm up. Okay, so the right culture and systems is going to equal retention and impact. The more that we can help people, the more that our systems are smooth, they add value to people, the more people are likely to stay. Right? It's just kind of common sense. If people feel like they're getting value, right? They're paying $99 for a subscription. Of course, if they come in, they're making money and they feel like they're getting supported, then the chances are they're going to stay. You're going to retain those customers, right? But that also then helps us, of course, impact for the long term with the company goal. Now, for me, these things boil down to 2 things. And I'm going to ask you, especially those of you who are already building a team, some of these might be hard-hitting questions, and I really want you to self-reflect. Okay? So this boils down to 2 things. Number 1, education. Your education first. So as a leader, if you're introducing someone, okay, I should say as an affiliate, because just because you sign someone up doesn't necessarily make you a leader, right? You need to develop some of those qualities. Okay? But if you see yourself as a leader, do you know what our company offers? Right? If I were to, I don't know, who's got their camera on? Let's say I'm going to pick on Junior just because I can see his face there. He's got his headphones on. Looks like he's paying attention. If I were to say to Junior, do you know how to use Monara? Could you hop on a call with your customer right now and could you help them set them up? Do you know the settings? Do you have a strategy? Okay. He might, you don't have to know it just now, Junior. I don't know how long you've been in the company. Okay. But just those kind of things. Can you tell a customer what Solex is? Right? I don't trade stock options, right? I've actually never been on one of Jessica Ramos's call, but if a customer asks me about stock options, you better believe I can tell them everything about Jessica Ramos, because I've plugged in enough to know exactly what she does, what her sessions are like, the kind of results she gets, right? Do you know about DeFiverse? If you've got someone who comes to you and is like really, really into crypto, you may not personally use DeFiverse, but do you know enough that you can educate your customer? Okay. And again, I'm not saying you have to be an expert at everything, but you need to educate yourself, right? In what our company offers, right? And if you're pretty new yourself, you're not going to know it all at the beginning. I'm not saying you need to be, a master whiz and know everything, but are you taking steps to learn? Could you explain risk management to a new customer? Are you practicing risk management yourself enough to be able to explain it to a customer? Okay, because I know there's some of us who might not be practicing the best risk management. Okay, so that's number 1, right? If you're going to go out and you're going to build this business, are you educated? Have you been intentionally, oh gosh, hiccups, educating yourself? And number 2 is then results. Okay, before you start to build, educate yourself and get results. Okay, again, You don't need results in every single product, but have you at least gotten results with one of our products? Okay. Do you regularly, let's say, use Plutos, for example? Have you gotten results with Plutos? And could you now show a team member how to use Plutos? Can you duplicate that within your team? Okay. So those are kind of the two most important things to start off with. Okay. And if you feel like maybe you're not, all that confident with all of our products, then come on to a business overview. We do a business overview every single day, Sunday to Friday. The only day we don't do one is Saturday. So come on to a business overview and hear how myself or Des or David did one last night. Hear how we talk about the products. Okay, because we've obviously educated ourselves on the products that we have. Okay, that's how you learn, right? Get yourself plugged in. Now, once you're confident with these things, of course, you can now start to duplicate that within your team. Okay, now what you must have, okay, as part of a healthy system, okay, a sustainable business, there has to be an onboarding system, right? As soon as you sign a customer up, you need to know what to do. And just adding them in the group chat is not enough. Okay, so I've got a 3-step system that I'm going to go through. Okay, so on these three at the bottom, okay, I'm going to tell you briefly what to do, but then I'm going to break it down into a lot more detail. Okay, so number 1, you need to act fast. Okay, so as soon as that customer joins, right, as soon as maybe you've done it with them on Zoom, or for those of you who are recruiting on TikTok, right, they've sent you a screenshot that they've signed up. There's 2 things that need to happen. Number 1, add them into the team channels immediately. Okay, add them in immediately because, again, if this is cold market, so somebody from social media, for example, they're putting a lot of trust in you, okay, to sign up with a complete stranger that they've met online. Okay, they're putting a lot of trust in you. If you leave them hanging for like 6 hours unread in your DMs, 8 hours, 12 hours, the longer that goes, the less they trust you and the more they want to get a refund. So as soon as you get that message from them, add them into the team channel, right? Send them a quick message. Hey, welcome to the team. I'm just going to add you into the channel, and then I'm going to send you the onboarding steps. Okay, so as soon as you've done that, quickly add them. Okay, you might be busy, so at least give them some reassurance. They're into a chat, and then they should receive a welcoming onboarding message with their first steps of what to do. And again, I'm going to show you what mine looks like. Okay, different teams might have different systems. Okay, but as long as that customer is getting something to do immediately, don't wait 24 hours to get on a Zoom with them and try and show them where the ECA is. Give them something to do immediately. Okay, because most customers, as soon as they sign up, they're not going to try and get onto the back office and navigate for themselves. That's just, it's just not human nature. For me, like it is, if I've just paid for something, I'm going to have a look around. I'm going to like try and figure things out for myself. Most people aren't like that. Most people need to be led, and they need to be, for want of a better phrase, handheld at the beginning. Don't handhold them forever, but at the beginning, they need those steps of reassurance. Okay, I'm going to show you that in a second. Number 2, okay, so you've sent them the welcome message. Denicia, you're a superstar. So the next thing you're going to do, they've got the welcome message, then you're going to have a launch. Now, I usually do my customer launches kind of 48 to 72 hours after a customer is joined, because what I've sent them in the onboarding message, I want them to do first, then I get on the Zoom with them and we do a full launch. Now, this launch is to clear up any questions they have about the platform. So if they've gone through my onboarding message, they've watched all the videos I've told them to watch, I can now address any misconceptions that they have. But really, the purpose of this call is to build a relationship. Okay. Now, if it's your warm market, let's say it's a friend or a colleague or whatever, you already have a relationship, but you've maybe never spoken about why they want to do this. Okay. So part of this is establishing their why. Okay. And again, I'm going to go through how to guide that conversation. You then want to set them very clear goals. Okay, they've just joined, they're keen, they're eager, they want to learn. So set them goals and show them that this is something long-term. They're not going to become millionaires in the first month. Okay, so again, I'm going to show you how to help them set 30, 60, 90-day goals that they can start to work towards. Okay, like I've put there, clear up any questions, and then make sure they are plugged into team calls and live sessions. Okay, we have live sessions that happen every single day, most of which are geared towards beginners to help them get started. Okay, we've got beginners basics calls, Forex for newbies. Even, my session with Abdullah, that's like a precursor to Abdullah to make sure they're successful on Abdullah's call. Okay, so a lot of this schedule is catered towards their success. So make sure they know, right? Maybe walk them through the team schedule, right? It is pinned in our chat. Maybe go through the chat, show them how to use it. They might have never used Telegram like that has topics. Sometimes that can be confusing for people, even just to get to the right topic. Okay. And then lastly, the third step, okay, is then you want to arrange a weekly check-in. Now, again, you're not going to do this forever. If you had a customer for like 6 months, you don't necessarily need to have a weekly call with them every single week. Okay. Because they know what they're doing by then. But I would say for at least the first month, you want to be scheduling a weekly call. Doesn't need to be long, 20, 30 minutes. Okay. Even 20 minutes. Okay. But the important thing to remember is that we were all beginners once. And this is sometimes something I have to remind myself sometimes. I've been in this industry now for 4 years, economy for over 2. So when it comes to economy, I know everything inside out and backwards. So I sometimes forget what it's like to be someone who comes in for the very first time. Okay, so we were once beginners. We once struggled with risk management and with our emotions. So talk to your customers about it because they're going to be struggling with it too. Okay, so that is the 3 steps. Now let's break it down even more because I'm going to show you literally the conversations that I would have. But number 1 is that onboarding message. Okay, so this is currently the onboarding message that I sent to my new customers. Now, if you would like a copy of this message, just, send me a DM after the call and I can send it to you. But if your team already follows the system, right, just stick with that system. Okay, but this is something that I found works really well for me. I've duplicated it from Bell's. Like we've been doing this since our first company, right? And it works. Okay. And the reason why, and I'm going to talk you through it. So number 1, I welcome them. Welcome to the team. First, you're going to be added to our Telegram group. Ensure you have Telegram app downloaded. Okay. In order for you to add them in, they need to have Telegram downloaded. Okay. Below is the beginning education to get you up and running. Your goal, I give them a goal in my very first message, is to complete this within 72 hours. The quicker it's completed, the quicker you can be making money. Okay. Because I want them to come in and I want them straight away to be taking this serious, to start educating themselves. Okay. So, and I give them steps. I then break it down. I try and make it as simple as possible. Step 1, register for the mastermind group website. It's completely free. I give steps on how to register. And once they're logged in, watch the welcome video so that they can see that they're part of something much bigger than just like me and them. Right? Bells does the welcome video. He explains the vision of our team, what mastermind stands for. So straight away, they're kind of get a sense of, okay, well, I've joined something. I've joined a movement, right? There's something going on here. Okay. And then I have them watch a beginner's basics training. So depending on, when in the week they join. So we do beginner's basics on a Tuesday evening with Esther and Zalema, or I do one on a Friday afternoon. Okay. So if they join on a Saturday, you're not going to have them wait all the way until Tuesday to attend a beginner's basics. So I put one of my most recent beginner's basics recordings so that as soon as they join, the first thing they're watching is me walking them through the platform, because that's what I do in the beginner's basics. I do some basic knowledge, but then I show this is the ECA. This is where you find everything. This is how you use the mastermind website. So it's giving them everything they need in that very first video. Okay. I also then tell them you're going to need to set up Solex. Okay. This is our trading community where trade ideas are sent. And again, I've linked the YouTube video that shows how to set up Solex. Okay. So again, this is a video that I made for the mastermind website, but you guys can feel free to put that in there. Okay. And then step 3 Videos to kickstart your journey, the ECA Forex basics. Every customer that you sign up should have watched the Forex basics course. It's only 17 videos, some of them as short as like 2 minutes long, right? So there's no reason why someone who's just joined cannot sit down for an hour or two of their time and watch through that whole course. Now, again, I've given them the target to do this within 72 hours, 48 to 72. So that way, by the time I do my launch call with them, they've done all the basics. They've done all the basics. They've taken notes. They should know what a pip is. They should have started to learn about MetaTrader 5, stop loss, take profit, all that good stuff. So when I'm speaking to them, and the first time I speak to them, I can clear up any questions. And on that call, I can make sure, okay, have you linked up your demo account? Let's go through taking a trade together, because you want them making profits as quickly as possible, even if it isn't a demo account. Okay? Because the longer that someone is in and they don't take a trade and they don't see that blue, the less likely they are to stay on as a customer. Okay? So that's step one. Okay, so the onboarding message, and it gives them actionable steps to get started immediately. Okay, so they're not faffing around for the first couple days trying to like figure out what's going on in this group chat, trying to go through the economy website and find where the live sessions are, right? That's a waste of time, right? You want to tell them exactly what to do. Okay, now they've done this. Now, when it comes to your launch call, you can start building the relationship. Okay, you can start having meaningful conversations. And again, I've put there, and in this industry, this is just kind of a staple, but customers relieve, friends never will. Now, am I saying, be fake and try and make friends with every single person that joins your business? Like, no, like genuinely show an interest in people, right? I've through this industry, since I've started in the last 4 years, like people I was friends with 4 years ago, I'm not really friends with anymore, because I've made so many genuine connections with like-minded people within this industry that is just something that naturally happens. Okay, so start building the relationship, get to know them, right? Especially if they've come from TikTok or Instagram, and this is kind of your first interaction with them. Okay, ask them what they do for a living. Where do they live, right? Do they have kids? Do they, whatever, right? Get to know them. And I've put there, start the call by asking them why economy. Why did they take this decision to join? Why does this have to work for them? Because again, most people who join our business have never set goals before. They've never really thought about what it is they want to achieve and how economy can help them achieve it. And I've put there, to get more meaningful answers, share your why, right? So you ask them the question and just say, well, for me, when I first joined, and then tell them why, right? So I used to tell people, right, like a year ago even, 2 years ago, whatever, right? When I first started joining economy, I used to tell people one of my biggest whys was to leave teaching, right? I wasn't happy anymore. I was working long hours. I wasn't happy with the pay, and I've seen a lifestyle that's out there that's attainable for me that I want to get, right? So my why, one of my biggest driving factors, was always to retire first. Okay, now most of you know, right? I'm pregnant, so I'm going to be having a baby. I've retired now, so I've reached that goal. So now, if I'm speaking to people, well, my why now, okay, is my baby, right? I want to continue, right, with this journey, continue with this success, continue, building upon the accomplishments I've already made, because for the long term, I never want to, number one, never want to get back into a job. Okay, so there's that element there. I can't go backwards, because there's no way I'm going back to teaching, right? But I want to be able to spend every moment with my child that I can. I don't want to ever have to think about maternity leave. I don't want to ever have to think about, sending him to a daycare, because I don't have time. Okay, so that becomes part of the conversation now. And if you open up, then they're of course going to be like, okay, well, it gets them thinking, right? What do I actually want? Okay. Now, once you've determined that, right? Once you've had that conversation, help them set their goals, okay, for the first 3 months. Now, you can do this in a number of ways. I do a trading compound plan, right, at the start, because the first thing they're going to do is they're going to start by trading, okay? Maybe week, 2 weeks down the line, especially if they share with you a really, really big goal, once they've got a result, now you can start talking about building. Okay. Now, I wouldn't, in this very first call, I wouldn't mention, right? I wouldn't really mention the affiliate side because they haven't actually taken a trade yet, right? They don't have the belief in the company yet, the belief in trading yet. Okay. That could be a down the line conversation. So I would start with a compound trading plan. Okay. Now, if none of you if you've never used this website, I will drop it in the chat box in a second, but it's a compound daily interest calculator. I would ask them, okay, realistically, when you're ready to go into a live account, how much were you thinking about starting with? And I would put that in the initial purchase amount. I would put how much they were thinking of starting with. And I'll say, okay, so your goal in your first 30 days is to grow your account by, I don't know, 2% per day. Okay, that's your goal, 1 to 2% per day. I would plug that in. I'd put 30 days. Okay, and then I'd calculate. So you can see over on the right-hand side, okay, I would then say, okay, look, so if you started with 500, if you were able to hit that goal, then you can grow that into over 1,200, right? That's a nice 700 and something profit. Now, oh, thanks, Shell. Now, I would also be realistic with them and say, look, there's going to be some days where you don't make your 2%. There's going to be some days where you have a loss, and that's okay. Okay, but the important thing is they start to see the steps, like, okay, in my first month, if I could make $500, well, that's amazing. I can pay for my subscription and now I actually have some profit as well. Then I'll go to 60 days and say, well, if we stay the course, right? And then the next 2 months, you continue to learn, you continue to grow, you continue to compound. This is what you could make. In the next 90 days, this is what you could make. And again, we also want to be very realistic. We all know, especially those of us who built and we've been in trading for a long time, we know that that plan doesn't always go to plan. Okay. For me today, I'm down like 0.5%. Okay. From gold. I shouldn't have even traded. Do you know what? I told myself this morning, I'm not going to trade because it's election day, but I couldn't help myself. Okay. I couldn't help myself. But we all know it doesn't all go to plan, right? We're not perfect. Okay. We can't catch every single signal. We might miss something. We might mess up, whatever. But again, it's showing them long term, if they stick with this, if they continue to just have the same daily habits every single day, this is what could happen. Okay, so they start to get a vision for themselves. They start to think a little bit bigger. Again, for me, the biggest part of this call is having them think bigger. Because again, most of us who've come from like a job, right? Obviously, I came from teaching. And there wasn't really I wasn't dreaming at that point of things like, getting a mansion or driving a Range Rover or going on a yacht, right? Those weren't things I was really dreaming of because I knew with the teaching salary, there's a cap in our brain, right? And I know with a teaching salary, well, that's actually never going to happen. So I'm not thinking about it. Right. And most people in their jobs, they're not thinking about these kind of things. They're not dreaming big because they know in the back of their mind with their current situation, it's not going to happen. Okay. So that's what this conversation is for, showing them what is possible. Okay. Now, lastly, so step 1, onboarding message, get them in the group. So they start learning immediately. They've learned, they've started the education. You then do their launch call. This conversation takes place. You set them some goals. Okay. Now, step 3. Okay. Step 3 is the weekly check-in. So after their first week, okay, it might be week and a half, because if you've just had a launch call, you don't need to kind of rush. You want to give them a few days to practice on their demo account, plug in, get on the team calls, do that kind of stuff. Okay. But I would say within their first week and a half to 2 weeks, you then have a follow-up, have another call with them. Okay. And for me, there's 4 outcomes for this call. Okay, number 1, you want to be making sure that they are plugged into the team schedule. For me, that team schedule in the beginning is such a valuable tool to show them they are part of a community. Okay, to show them they're part of a community. And I think this is something as a whole, we all need to get better at, because some of these beginning sessions, like Saturday, when I didn't even run my calls on Saturday because there was like 2 people on them, right? And one of the, like, some of those people had already attended the session. So it wasn't even like brand new customers coming on. So as a group, right, especially for those of you who are leaders already, like, we really need to do better at plugging in these live sessions. In my first company, these live sessions were so crucial to our culture as a team, because people got to know each other in other teams, even if it's just by Zoom, right? Okay, Junior, whose team are you in? I was gonna say, I've seen your face lots of times now too, but like, I want to get to know Junior now, right? I've seen his face on the calls. So it allows me, right, to start to kind of get to know who is in our team, right? Who is in this business. Okay. So next, okay, so that's encouraging them, right? Encouraging them to plug into the live sessions. Shell. David's okay, amazing. There we go. Now I know, right? Now I know. Okay, now the next thing is, right, you also want to encourage them to start sharing their results in the group. Engage in the group if they have questions, celebrate others. Okay, so if we have, I mean, we haven't, since we've moved over to our new community, okay, we haven't done this as such yet, but I think it's something we will start doing. But celebrate when people hit milestones, right? So for example, with our funded account, you know, David shared his first withdrawal, right? Well, that's a big deal. It was instant funded. And within his first few days, he'd made a withdrawal. Okay, so when we have people in our group chat that are sharing those kind of things, we should be celebrating that. But, and I put this in nice big letters, the only way that this happens is if you are doing it. You cannot expect, you can't come on this call and say to your customer, okay, well, share your results every day, if you're not sharing your results every day, right? You guys see me active in that group all the time, right? I'm regularly, at least 3 times a week, sharing my results. I'm commenting on other people's results. It takes you 3 seconds to put a little fire emoji on someone's results. That takes no time. But we're celebrating each other. What you celebrate accelerates in your own life. Okay, so it may seem like a bit corny, and some of you are just kind of sitting in the background and you're just kind of watching. But if you genuinely, this is icon mentorship, if you want to become an icon, you need to start acting like one now. I don't care if you haven't even signed up your first customer. These are things that help build team culture. Okay, so share your results. It doesn't matter if, you know, if you're still in a demo account, I don't care. A result is a result. It's showing that this works and that you can do it, that everyone can do it. Okay, so that's the first thing. Make sure they're plugged in, but also encourage that kind of thing, right? If you know, if they just told you, oh yeah, I took my first trades today, like I grew my account 1%, amazing. Get that in the group chat right now. I would have them do it straight on the call. So you're creating that habit. You're creating that culture. Number 2, if you've had the conversation and they haven't gotten a result, okay, find out why. Okay, so you want to, on this call, if they've been in for like a week and a half, they should have taken a successful trade by now. Okay, so make sure that they've gotten a result. Okay, and I put this should be on a demo in their first week. Hopefully, we're all encouraging demos at the beginning. Otherwise, I think it'd be disastrous. Okay, and if they have gotten results consistently in their first week, you can now discuss, okay, are you ready to go to a live account? So you can help them through that process. Make sure they know how to connect their live account to their MetaTrader 5. Re-emphasize, and number 3, I put re-emphasize risk management. So if they've shown you their demo account, but they're taking like, you know, full standard lots, then it's time to be like, okay, well, you know, if you did that in a real account, there'd be some, you know, probably some big consequences. Okay, so make sure they're using proper risk management. Even in that demo account, you want to re-emphasize the importance of it. Okay, they should treat a demo like they would real money. So there's no point in them taking full standard lots. There's no point in them taking, I don't know, even like 5 mini lots. There's no point if they're not going to start with that same amount in their live account. Okay, and just to come back quickly to number 2, if they haven't gotten a result, if they say like, oh, like, you know, my demo account is really down, say, okay, share. I would have them share their MetaTrader 5 with me, and I would ask them the trades that they took that week, right? Because if they're using the same products as me, right, and I usually encourage, like, I pretty much only use Plutos and DeFiverse. That's all I've used for the last like year. So that's pretty much the only place I'm taking signals. So most of my customers are using the same products because that's what I use. Okay. But if not, if they say, okay, I've taken some trades from Ralph, some trades from Edris, etc. Okay, let's see. And I'll go through Solix. Okay, let's see what Ralph's results were like this week. Let's see what Edris's results were like this week. Okay, because they could genuinely just be making a mistake. Okay, as beginner traders, okay, I would say some of the most common issues, especially when it comes to taking signals, is number one, they get in late. So they don't understand that, let's say with gold, if the entry is a buy at 26.65 and they've entered at 26.70, well, that trade's already 50 pips in profit. They're a beginner, they're not to know that. Okay, so try and clear up any issues they may be having and the reasons why they're not getting results. Okay. Now, lastly, and then just clear up any questions, right? They're going to come on this call. They've been in the company now for a week and a half. Okay. So they might have some questions, any misconceptions. Okay. And those are kind of the main outcomes of this call. Now, again, like I said, you don't need to do this for forever, right? I would say do this for our customers' first month. After the first month, if they've been doing what you're encouraging them to do, to plug into all the sessions, obviously they're coming to you for questions, they're practicing in their demo, et cetera, by the end of their first month, they should be pretty good, right? They shouldn't really need as much of your guidance anymore. Okay. So, oh, here's an example. Okay, I forgot I threw that up there. Okay, so this is actually quite a while ago, right? But it was one of my customers in the US. Okay, so she had sent me a screenshot, okay, saying that she had made 1033 profit from a silver trade. Thanks, Shannon. Okay, and this was her very first trade in her live account. Now she sent that to me privately. Okay, so I took a screenshot of it. I went into the group chat and I said, big shout out to, okay, this, her name was Sandra, funded her account yesterday. Her first trade, she's up 3.5%. Right? So I'm celebrating her openly. People, honestly, guys, I think we underestimate how much adults don't get celebrated or they don't get openly acknowledged for something that, we now take it for granted because we see results every day. Right? But people genuinely don't get acknowledged for this kind of stuff. Like if you do something really good at work, right? Someone's probably not going to stand up in the office and be like, oh, hey, Christian just had this really amazing email from a customer. Like, let's celebrate him. Those kind of things, they don't happen, right? For the most part. Okay. So she and I don't have the conversation anymore, but she messaged me after that and was like, oh, thank you so much. Right. It just kind of starts to build, okay, that culture that we want to cultivate, right, in the team. So last bit. Right? Last bit. What is the key? And this is, I've done this training before and had all sorts of answers. I had something clear in mind, but let's just see what you guys come up with. But based on some of the things I've gone through today, okay, obviously we've been speaking about systems, right, retention, etc. What do you think is the key to a solid, sustainable, long-term business? Like, and I want you to think ahead, right? When you get to Icon, when you get to someone like Dez's level, when you get to someone like David's level, okay, what do you think is the key to their business being solid and sustainable for the long term? If you were to boil it down to one word, and it's not retention, even though that's the name of this, it's something that this all ties into. Relationships are, guys, those are super important for sure. That's not what I have on this slide though, but it definitely is key, right? You have to build good relationships with your customers. Like they need to know that you care about them and you want them to do well, for sure. Communication, definitely do need to have good communication, clear communication from the beginning. Okay, consistency, accountability. Zalema, have you seen this training before? So I was thinking of duplication, okay, because all of these things are important. Christian says results, yeah. So we obviously need to have our customers getting results. We obviously want to be building that relationship. We want to show them they're part of a community, right? We want them to be consistent. Okay. But the system I've just shown you and how you'll be successful growing a big business is duplication. Because the key is here, if I'm doing this with all of my new customers, then if one of those customers becomes an affiliate, they should just know that that's normal practice, right? So Shannon sent me this welcome message. Shannon did a launch call with me. I remember us doing this conversation. Oh, Shannon created, a trading plan with me. So when that person becomes an affiliate, they should have hopefully those same good habits, right? It's all about duplication. And the system that we've created, right, in our communities coming together is all about plugging people into that system so they can continue to duplicate it. Okay, so it was duplication, but all those other answers are, definitely key and very, very valid. Okay, but the definition to duplication is replicating successful methods and techniques, right? Keyword there being successful. And I hinted to it earlier, but that onboarding message is something that Bells has been doing since our very first company when he was only a 2K a month earner, right? So I've had the privilege to work with Bells for the last 4 years, right? When I first met him, he was completely broke, right? Just out of prison. Okay. He was just got back his 2K a month rank. So I've seen him go from 2K to 5K to 10K in that company, take what he learned in that company, right? About leadership, about duplication, come into other companies, and now economy and obviously has completely exploded, right? So if he's been doing this same thing, right, and he still does it, right? He's in the process of starting to develop a new team, even as an Icon 100. Okay, the first thing he did was message me and say, Shannon, what's your up-to-date onboarding message? Because he hasn't been active building like that in a while. Okay, so that was the first thing he asked me. So again, I had it ready because I've been duplicating him for 4 years. So if an Icon 100 sees the value in an onboarding message as soon as someone joins so they can get straight into it, then I'd probably be thinking to myself, well, if I don't have an onboarding message, why? Why don't I have one? If an Icon 100 has been doing it for 4 years, right? And again, David might have something slightly different. I'm not entirely sure what your guys' team does, but something needs to happen straight away when that customer signs. Okay? Success without duplication is merely future failure in disguise. So you might get lucky, right? Denicia said at the beginning, she just went onto the website and was figuring stuff out for herself. So you might get lucky and you might get a Denicia in your organization and she comes in and she's a self-starter and she just builds it for herself and, whatever the case may be. Most people are not going to be like that. So if you get one Denicia and you think, oh, well, she figured it out by herself, I'm just not going to do this whole thing, then that's your failure. That's your future failure, because if you don't start doing these things now, it's not going to happen in future. Okay? And this helps build a culture within your organization. Okay, again, you guys, if you're on this call, you probably have a view to going Icon, or at least want to build yourself a team to make yourself a residual income, right? That's why we're here. That's what we're talking about. So you need to decide, what culture do you want for your team? Right? You can look at how I've built, look at how David's built, look at how Des is built. And you might think, if I want to get to that level, look, like, especially now that you have access to all three of us, look at what we all have in common. Because even though we're very different people, there's things we do that we all have things in common, right? Because we've been duplicating our mentors who, have been in the industry for quite some time. I know me and David have different, he was savage. He locked off his call after 5 minutes on Sunday. I'm still a little bit too nice. Okay. So we definitely have different personalities, but you will see us do a lot of things in common. Okay. But the most important thing here, okay, and even if you didn't have an onboarding message, maybe this is something you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is completely new to me. Culture starts with you. So if you want this culture within your team, If you want to grow yourself, to an icon level, okay, it starts with you, but it also needs everyone. What I mean by that, David, I know you would have. I know you would have. I don't have it in me. I need to be mentored a bit more by David, I think. um, but it needs everyone. And what I mean by that is, now as an icon, I of course have leaders within my team. If you're a 3K, you have leaders within your team. Okay. So you can be leading, right, as best you can. You can be trying to do all of these things, but you need your leaders on board as well. And you need your team on board as well. Okay. So for every person on this call, there's 23 of us. I really hope starting from tomorrow, I'm not just going to see the same faces, right? Because it becomes very clear, right, in the group chat who is contributing, right? So Christian is one. Christian shares his results pretty much every day, right? Christian shares his results pretty much every day. He's answering questions in the chat, right? And there's customers who are sharing their results every day. Okay. Zalema is pretty good at sharing her US 30. Okay. So there's certain people who are contributing to this culture, right? If you are on this call, I genuinely, I'm not doing this to at anyone, right? This isn't like I'm having a go at you. This is you need to reflect. Okay. If you want to get to an icon level, look at the activity you're doing now and think about, okay, if this activity were stay the same, and all of my leaders were to act exactly how I act in the group chat, is that going to create me the culture that I want? Because if you don't say much in the chat, your customers aren't going to say much in the chat. If you don't get on calls, your customers aren't going to get on calls. Right? Even something like the beginner's basics or the Forex for newbies, like you guys know what you're doing. But if you've signed up a new customer, like I would be getting on that call so that they can see you on that call as well. Right? They can see that you're contributing to the community. Okay. So culture starts with you, but it does need everyone. Okay. So guys, I am going to end there. Okay. Because I've gone through a lot. Again, if you would like that onboarding message that I use, I just updated it because of course Solex is now, quite new. We have the tutorial for that. I put in my beginner's basics. What I also suggest for you guys though, like as up and coming, leaders, if you're a 500 or 900, like put yourself forward to do some of these calls, right? For me, when I send my onboarding message, it's very clear I'm the leader because I'm sending them videos that I myself have created. Like I'm the one leading the beginner's basics. I'm the one who's done the tutorial for Solex. Okay, so eventually, you want to kind of put yourself forward like that too. Okay, so they can see you as the, the leader within the group. Okay, so guys, are there any questions? I know I've gone through a lot. Okay, are there any questions about anything I've gone through? And again, I think if you guys can get this right, good customer service, get your customers plugged in, that equals retention, right? If they feel comfortable, if they feel confident, if they're getting value, they're not going to leave, right? They won't. Okay. So I don't see any questions in the chat box. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. For those of you, I see some people private messaging me. You've messaged me for the onboarding thing. I will get back to you ASAP. I'll do that straight after this call. Okay, guys. Well, I hope you all have a phenomenal rest of your evening. On Friday, our upcoming session is going to be Daily Habits of an Icon, okay, with Des and David, one or the other. I can't remember. But yes, definitely want to be on that one. Okay, daily habits are so, so important. Okay, so take care, guys. Have a phenomenal evening, and I will speak to you all soon. Bye.